Many times over the years, a friend of ours has given us a Christmas present of Yogananda's quotations from Yogananda's Autobiography of a Yogi, created into or made into a page-a-day calendar, this one being for 2021. And it's just a marvelous thing to have around on your desk or in your, in your house, in your kitchen someplace. And I'd like to read today's January 11th, and I may do a series on these, but this particular one is so meaningful that I thought to quote it and say a few words about it. This is from Autobiography of a Yogi. Yogananda is speaking. Though I was breathless and my body in a strangely quiet state, yet I was able to move my hands and feet freely. For several minutes I experimented in closing and opening my eyes. In either state I saw distinctly the whole Dakshineshwar panorama. Spiritual sight, x-ray-like, penetrates into all matter. The divine eye is center everywhere, circumference nowhere. That comes from the original edition of Autobiography of a Yogi that Yogananda wrote. And he's, in the broader context of that little quotation is that Yogananda has gone to the Dakshineshwar temple with his sister and her husband. She has been asking Yogananda to convert her husband to the spiritual life. And the husband is not interested, very specifically not interested, but he goes along anyway, sort of unwillingly. And Yogananda has this deep experience there at the Dakshineshwar temple. And this little description that he's giving comes from that experience. And he does, the husband does end up having a life-changing experience. Interestingly related to food, Yogananda had not made prior arrangements with the temple authorities to provide them with lunch in the middle of the day. Yogananda had just gone off and started meditating, and then he had this divine experience. He meditated for many hours there, and when he came out of the meditation, and he had this vision of the Divine Mother there who appeared to him, and he prayed to her and asked her to bless his brother-in-law. When he came out of that meditation, the brother-in-law was outraged because he knew that Yogananda had not made prior arrangements. And just in that moment, the temple authorities come and say, even though it's against our rules, we saw you meditating and we put aside lunch for you. And so here, please come and have your lunch. And so the brother-in-law is changed. But this little phrase in here, the divine eye is center everywhere, circumference nowhere. This is pure physics. This is the viewpoint that wherever you are, in a universe that has no discernible center, think back historically, back hundreds of years ago, perhaps thousands of years ago, people related to the earth specifically as the center of the universe. And the assumption was that the sun goes around the earth and the planets go around the earth and we're the center of the universe. Well, then Copernicus came along and said, no, it's the sun that's the center of the universe, and the earth and all the planets are revolving around the sun. Okay, fine. So that went along for a while, and then along comes Einstein and gives us the theory of relativity and says that no, there's actually no center in the universe. It's simply a question of everything relative to everything else. And that kind of threw everybody for a loop. And even psychologically, that phrase, well, it's all relative. was kind of used as an excuse to say, well, I can do whatever I want. Hey, it's all relative, What's the big deal? I can get into trouble, or I can go do whatever mischief I want to do because, hey, it's all relative, good, bad, what's this good, bad stuff? But Yogananda is saying that the center of every person, we individually, you are the center of the universe as far as you're concerned. But that doesn't give you carte blanche to sort of behave any way you like, because there are consequences to what we do and how we do it. But to have that vision that we see the world from our own point of view, but that we see everything ultimately. In divine vision, we actually see the entire universe from within. We actually learn to see. I had this experience a few times in my life where I could see the world through I felt that I could see the world through someone else's eyes. I could feel what they felt. And, now who's to say, if I'm looking at blue, this shirt is probably a little more purple to your eye than blue. But, is the blue that I see the exact same blue that you see? Well, who's to say? But we can learn to feel from the inside what the reality of someone else's consciousness is, to some extent. There's the story that Swamiji used to tell of the dancer Nijinsky, who watched a skier. He was in the Alps, I think, in Europe somewhere, and this expert skier went down the slope doing all these maneuvers, kind of ski dancing down the slope. And Nijinsky said, well, let me get some skis and let me try. And the skier said, sure, whatever, go ahead. You'll never do it, because Nijinsky had never been on skis before. Well, Nijinsky went down the slope and duplicated identically every single maneuver that skier had done. And the skier said, there's no way you can tell me you haven't been on skis before. And he said, no, it's true. I literally have never been on skis before. And the skier couldn't believe it. Nijinsky said, no, it's absolutely true. I could feel from the inside what you were doing. And so I just duplicated that from the inside on my body. I'd made my body do what your body did because I could feel what you were doing. I knew those maneuvers. I could feel those maneuvers. That experience can be ours also. We can learn to see the universe as center everywhere, circumference nowhere. And when we do so truly, we will have the divine experience of unity, of oneness. So here we are on January 11th. There are hundreds more readings for the year, but there is such profound depth in each one of them. And I thought to just explore some of these as they come up. God bless you.